Hello, welcome. Today we are building Vostok-1 out of cardboard. Kind of what I am going to do is redo/improve my old cardboard build of Vostok-1. I first built it in a 4-part series, and I would say it came out pretty good, but it has some problems. It's pretty outdated compared to my newer build, so I want to do it justice. That's why I decided to revisit and improve this old build. The plan is simple. I split the project into multiple sections to make the whole process easier. Starting with the reactor thingy on the back. After carefully removing all unnecessary parts, I made the gray pillar things bigger and more pronounced. Furthermore, I patched up this section by, for example, filling the holes in the cardboard with glue so they can be painted over and adding a little fence on the top. Then I masked it off for painting, making sure to add about 3 or 4 layers and letting them dry before adding the next one. After some weathering, I could begin with remaking the large machinery on top. And with the reactor painted gray with the top copper, the back piece is finished. Although I have something special to add to it. This is a crystal I had lying around, and when you put it on a LED, it glows beautifully. I added a little stand on top of the reactor that holds the crystal above a LED. Here you can have a better look at it. But this was only the warm-up. Now it's time for one of the biggest pieces, the hull. To start off, we got to remove all weaponry and side armor from the hull, including the tracks. Then we patch up the wheels and the hull. In case of the hull, it's mostly smoothing out certain parts and adding some more depth. But the most important part is adding the center structure in the front, which I didn't know existed when I first started making this. I'm adding it by just plainly flattening the tip of the hull and wedging a small frame in between the 2 KV-1 looking towers, making sure to keep enough space for both of them. Here is a little progress update I made while working on said KV-1 towers. As you can see, there is a little cylinder in the center on which the turrets are centered and able to be moved up and down, though the ones you see here were a little too wide, so I remade them shortly after. The painting of this thing was a mess. It is quite large, thus it's hard to move around. That's why the footage is shit. It hardly fits on camera. The wheels were far easier because it was just a matter of adding a few extra layers of paint and then using a paint marker to draw the pattern on top of the wheel. Also, you might have noticed the gaping holes into sides. I originally wanted to make the sideball turrets move. I had an idea on how to do this, and my dumbass decided to cut out 2 gaping holes for this before actually testing if it'd be feasible. Spoiler, it was not. So later, I glued it shut with a piece of cardboard and painted it black. Now with the base coat on, it's weathering time. Just by using a slightly darker green and a sponge, by adding it to the bottom of whatever you are painting, it makes it look 10 times better. Also adding a layer of brown with the same principle after also helps a ton. It suggests you do the brown paint wherever it would get dirty. Think just above the tracks where dirt may have flung up. Now the finishing touches for the hull, adding the white line on top and the red star. Painting over the last little bits and then adding these little black lines, and the hull is finished. Okay, so now before we start working on the main turret of Vostok, there's still some parts we are missing. The big ball turrets on the side, the track skirts, and some more guns. To be precise, these four on the front. The track skirts are just two pieces of cardboard, one green with details and stuff, the other gray. For the big ball turrets, I used some foam spheres and painted them green. I had a big cardboard tube laying around which I cut to two pieces and were used as barrels. Okay, two more things before we start on the turret. First, I found out that by sanding these thin plastic plates, they would diffuse the light from the LEDs, so I've added them to the reactor on the back and the cylinders on the front. Next, I had something very cool planned for the main laser weapon. With a motor I had laying around, I was planning on making these plates around the laser gun actually spin. I made a whole prototype with cardboard gears, which worked great. Sadly, there came some complications. First, the wiring was shit, like I had to hold the wires at a certain angle, otherwise it wouldn't get power. Second, the actual plates I was going to be using were heavier than those of the prototype, so the motor had difficulty gaining traction on it. There was a solution for it though, but I opted out of it. You see, I still had another motor and parts, but these were not assembled, and the weight problem could have been fixed with some more iterations. But that would have meant I would have spent like 2 weeks fucking around with this thing, so I decided that it wasn't worth it, and maybe next time I'll use that spare motor. At last, only the turret remains. Per usual, I removed the old parts that I don't need. After fixing gaps and finishing off some imperfections, it started to look pretty good. First, the back could be removed with a lousy system. Now the top plate is removable with magnets, making it sturdier and easier to access. And after again painting, making sure to add enough layers, we've got this. Also after this is when I originally meant to install the motor system from the prototype, which I did, but later removed. Oh yeah, and these are the new eyes. The old model used just plastic plates and painted over masking tape. But this one has a little compartment with a blue painted background where you can put an LED through it whose light diffuses though the sanded plastic plates. Now to paint the final parts, finishing the laser weapon and turret. With practically everything finished, there remain only two things: the Soviet flagpole and Vostok-1, which is a kind of Russian hat. You're going to have to forgive me for this, but I heavy simplified the design to a box, which isn't remotely accurate. It should be more rounder. But last time I tried, it looked like a soda can. The hat came out looking pretty good, only it looks a bit like an iron helmet, but it's still an improvement over the original. Something to keep in mind when you try and building something, may it be from a series, films, or a game. Total accuracy isn't the most important thing you should strive for. It's recognizability, and if you have to simplify parts or leave out details, it will most likely look great anyway. Finally, after adding a crap ton of red paint for the Soviet flag, everything is done. Here is everything laid out on top of my desk. It almost fills it whole. I started working on this around 30th of December, and when I recorded this clip, it was late/end February, so it's a good 2 months of work in total, and I am quite proud. It's my best model yet, combining size and quality. If you compare the old versus the new, which we will do in a second, you'll see a great improvement. Even though my motor idea didn't pan out, I still learned a lot from it, especially how to make cardboard gears, which I will most certainly use in future project and experiment with. Remember, with every failure you learn, and also from every success, how little that success may be. Anyway, I'm getting off track. It's time to assemble this thing for real. There you have it, a 75 centimeter, including the laser gun, long 30 centimeter tall, 21 centimeter, excluding the orb guns, wide cardboard model of Vostok-1 that lights up. There's a little look into the turret and how the LEDs fit, and the crystal looks epic, especially in the dark. Here is a side-by-side of the OG model with the new and improved one. I'd say the biggest improvements are, first, that every little hole and crevasse is filled with glue and painted over. Second, the paint itself, I added far more layers which paint up handsomely. I'd suggest you keep in mind not every color nor every kind of paint covers equally good. That's why under colors like green, I first add a layer of white. So if you're painting, adding a few extra layers can really help. Overall, I am so happy with how it turned out. One more thing before the end of the video, I saved some of the parts of the old model, and again, look at the difference. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, goodbye and have a nice day.